3 weeks after they buried Chief Adewale, another funeral invitation arrived bearing his name. Not a similar name, not a relative, his exact name, his exact photograph, his exact date of birth, and at the bottom of the card, written in bold black letters, "Join us as we lay Chief Adewale to rest." Again. The envelope slipped from Mrs. Adewale's trembling fingers. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The living room fell silent except for the ceiling fan turning lazily overhead. Finally, her eldest son, Tunde, laughed. This is some stupid prank. But nobody else laughed, because someone had spent real money printing hundreds of invitation cards. Someone had rented a hall. Someone had scheduled a funeral for a man already buried. And before this story gets stranger, tell me in the comments, what would you do if an invitation arrived for the funeral of someone you buried yourself? The family decided to ignore it, but 2 days later, another shock arrived. Their church called. The secretary confirmed that funeral arrangements had indeed been made, deposit had been paid, the service was booked. The family demanded to know who made the reservation. The secretary apologized. The person requested anonymity. That night, rumors spread through the community. Market women whispered, taxi drivers discussed, neighbors speculated. Some said Chief Adewale had faked his death. Others claimed his spirit was restless. A few insisted the family was hiding something. The gossip became so intense that Tunde finally drove to the venue listed on the invitation. What he found chilled him. The hall was decorated, workers were arranging chairs, and outside, beneath a mango tree, a fresh grave had already been dug. Tunde stood frozen. Someone was preparing to bury his father twice. The following morning, another development changed everything. An elderly woman appeared at the family's gate. Nobody recognized her. She was thin, dressed simply, and carried a worn leather handbag. She asked to speak with Mrs. Adewale. The widow reluctantly agreed. The woman sat quietly before speaking. "If you received a second funeral invitation," she said softly, "then there are people who never got the chance to say goodbye." "What are you talking about?" Tunde demanded. The old woman looked at him. "Your father was many things." Then she stood, "and you knew only some of them." Before anyone could stop her, she left. The family was furious. What did that mean? Who was she? How did she know about the invitation? The mystery was becoming unbearable. Determined to find answers, Adewale's youngest child, Amara, began investigating. Unlike her brothers, she wasn't interested in arguing. She wanted evidence. She started with her father's study. Most of the files were ordinary: business records, property documents, old photographs. Then she found something strange: a stack of receipts, dozens of them. Each payment had been made to people she didn't recognize. The dates stretched back over 20 years. School fees, hospital bills, rent assistance, business support, funeral expenses, wedding contributions. The amounts were in small. Together, they totaled millions of naira. Amara frowned. Who were these people? Why had her father been sending them money, and why had he never mentioned any of it? The trail led her to a small town nearly 3 hours away. When she arrived, she showed a photograph of her father to a shopkeeper. The man's face lit up immediately. "Chief Adewale?" The shopkeeper smiled. "A good man." Amara blinked. "You knew him?" The shopkeeper laughed. "Everybody here knew him." Her confusion deepened. How could an entire town know her father when she had never heard him mention the place? At this point, I need your opinion. Do you think Chief Adewale was right to keep all of this secret, or should his family have known what he was doing? Let me know in the comments, because this story is about to take an unexpected turn. Then, something even stranger happened. As she walked through the town, more people recognized the photograph. An elderly teacher, a mechanic, a widow, a tailor. Each had a story. Each described a moment when Chief Adewale had helped them, paid their fees, saved their business, covered medical bills, provided opportunities, quietly. Without publicity, without recognition, without asking for anything in return. Amara listened in disbelief. The stories kept coming, one after another. Dozens of lives, dozens of people, dozens of secrets, and yet none of them knew each other. That night, she called her family. "You need to hear this," she said. But her brothers remained skeptical. "Everybody claims a dead rich man helped them," Tunde replied. "People are looking for money." Maybe he was right. At least that's what Amara thought, until she met a retired teacher named Mr. Bello. The old man invited her into his modest home. On the wall hung dozens of framed photographs. Students, graduation ceremonies, families, successful professionals. Mr. Bello pointed to one picture. "That doctor works in Abuja." Another, "That engineer works in Canada." Another, "That lawyer built schools." Amara smiled politely. Then Mr. Bello opened a drawer. Inside was a stack of letters. Every scholarship, every donation, every contribution. Signed by the same person, Chief Adewale. Mr. Bello's eyes grew moist. He never wanted recognition. "Why?" Amara asked. The old teacher smiled sadly. Because he believed helping people wasn't something you performed for applause. If you've ever met someone whose kindness changed your life, take a moment to like this video. People like that deserve to be remembered. By the time Amara returned home, the second funeral was only days away. The family faced a choice: cancel it or attend. Despite their doubts, curiosity won. On the morning of the ceremony, they arrived expecting confusion. Instead, they found hundreds of people. The hall overflowed. People stood outside. Cars lined the road. The family stared in shock. Many of the faces were unfamiliar, yet every person had come for the same reason: to honor Chief Adewale. As the service began, story after story filled the room. A widow spoke first. Years earlier, her husband died suddenly. Chief Adewale paid for her children's education. She had never met him again. Then a mechanic stood. His workshop had burned down. A stranger helped him rebuild. That stranger was Chief Adewale. Then came a nurse, a teacher, a trader, a farmer, a former prisoner whose legal fees had been quietly covered. One after another, the room became a river of gratitude. The Adewale family sat speechless. Each testimony revealed another life they never knew existed, another sacrifice, another act of generosity, another secret. Then the organizer finally stepped forward, the same elderly woman who had visited their home. The room fell silent. She adjusted the microphone. "My name is Grace." Her voice trembled. 30 years ago, my husband died in an accident. The audience listened carefully. My children and I were left with nothing. Tears formed in her eyes. One day, a stranger appeared. She paused. It was Chief Adewale. The room remained silent. "He helped us survive." She swallowed hard. "Then, he helped others, and others, and others, and others." She looked toward the family, not because he wanted praise, because he believed every life matters. Grace took a deep breath. The first funeral belonged to the man his family knew. Her voice cracked. This funeral belongs to the man the world knew. Many people were openly crying now, including Tunde, the son who had called it a prank. Then Grace produced a final envelope, a letter, written by Chief Adewale before his death. She handed it to Amara. With shaking hands, Amara opened it. The room waited. If stories like this remind you that good people still exist in the world, subscribe and join us for more unforgettable stories. Now listen carefully to what Chief Adewale wrote in his final letter, because these words changed everything. She began reading. "If you are hearing this, then I am gone." A soft murmur moved through the audience. "I spent my life learning a simple truth. Money disappears. Buildings collapse. Titles fade. But kindness survives in people." Many wiped away tears. "I never wanted monuments. I never wanted statues. I only hoped that when my time ended, some lives would be better because I existed." The room was completely silent. Then came the final line. "If there is a second funeral, let it not be for my death. Let it be for the lives that continue because of what we gave one another." When Amara finished reading, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. For several seconds, only quiet filled the hall. Then slowly, the audience rose to their feet. Not in celebration, not in excitement, but in respect. The standing ovation seemed endless. For the first time, the Adewale family understood. They had buried their father 3 weeks earlier, but only now were they discovering who he truly was. And as they looked across the hundreds of people whose lives he had changed, they realized something profound. A person can be loved deeply, a person can be known for decades, and still remain far greater than anyone ever imagined. That was the purpose of the second funeral, not to bury Chief Adewale again, but to reveal the extraordinary life hidden beneath an ordinary goodbye. As the crowd slowly disappeared and the hall grew quiet, one truth remained. Chief Adewale's greatest achievement wasn't the money he made, the titles he earned, or the respect he commanded. It was the lives he changed when nobody was watching. If this story moved you, take a moment to subscribe and join us for more powerful African stories about family, sacrifice, hidden truths, and the moments that remind us what truly matters. Because sometimes the greatest stories are not about how people die, they are about how they lived.